So we move forward. We are on page 243, and we are dealing with the sign Libra. We are in the fourth section, the D section of Esoteric Astrology Adventure 81. This sign is consequently closely connected with the third aspect of the Godhead. After all, the third ray does express through it, as we are shown in the tabulations of rays associated with the constellations. Yes, the third creative hierarchy and the third aspect of Godhead. Venus also has its strongly monastic part, as does Uranus, as does Saturn. So these are planets which express in a strongly mental way, although expressing in other ways as well. And they correlate well with a sign which is connected to the third aspect of Godhead. And hence it is a governing sign and a major conditioning factor, a governing sign, where law, sex, and money excuse me, where law, sex, and money are concerned. Why should these three be related particularly to the third aspect of divinity? This is a question. So, with respect to money, obviously, is the third aspect of the third aspect. Has to do with the flow of that type of energy, which will result in creativity in form. It materializes. It determines what shall appear and what shall not appear. As for sex, we are told it is largely the fusion of the pairs of opposites on the physical plane, but they are fused in other ways on other planes. And ultimately, the fusion has much to do with the second aspect. So this is the second aspect of the third aspect. When it comes to law, we're dealing with the imposition of divine patterns upon the wayward tendency of matter, which is conditioned by the third aspect of divinity. So it has its own pattern, which operates according to rotary motion and not according to spiral cyclic motion. And the imposition of the law inclines these patterning forces to repattern according to spiral cyclic motion. So we have to ponder on this. Well, we've done just maybe a very little of the pondering on this. Law, sex, and money. The law being the first aspect of the third aspect. 1, 2, and 3, probably Saturn, Venus, and Uranus. Uranus in its creative mode, associated with money, I would say. We'll see what the Tibetan says here. We ponder on this. All the three divine aspects in themselves are triune, and manifest in three manners or through three lesser aspects. And this third aspect is no exception to this rule underlying all the triplicities which condition the processes of evolution and manifestation. We're even taken back here as examples. TCF 177, we see the spiritual triad, with each point of the spiritual triad being triune. We also were taken back to Esoteric Psychology 2, around page 99, I think, where we see three great beings, each one of them representing one of the three major rays. And the third ray being has expressions through Saturn, Mars, and the Earth. And the second ray being has expression through Uranus, Jupiter, and Venus, and presumably the first ray person of Godhead in the solar system has expression through Vulcan, Pluto, and Neptune, not necessarily in that order, with Mercury free to create the relationships between. Although I sometimes have wondered why Mercury should not be very much connected with the third aspect of divinity, given its probable monadic ray. So 3 express as 9. And when looking at third ray cycles, 9 is the defining number. They are cycles of 9, 90, 900, 9,000, etc. years. We're in sort of the middle, well, actually coming out the other end of a 900-year third ray cycle, which began in 1425. So maybe the emergence of the Theosophical Society in 1875, followed by Isis Unveiled, followed by Secret Doctrine, was an expression of this third ray energy at its point of greatest positive manifestation. So we're dealing with triplicities here, and we're relating Libra, whose symbol, as it controls the third spiritual hierarchy, is this kind of fleur-de-lis or triple flower. As I've said before, however, there's so much about Libra which suggests the expression of the second ray, and we don't really get it from the rather hardline planets which are expressing through Libra at this time. All of them in their soul rays have a hardline ray, even though Venus could accord more with the second ray in its monadic expression, which is not yet, I think, fully expressing. It is through a study of Libra that light upon the third aspect will come. He talks about how practical the Librans are, how much related they are to matter. This is interesting when we think of, oftentimes, of relationship and of art in relation to Libra, more along the 2-4-6 line. The first aspect of will or power expresses itself in this sign as law, as legislation, that's Saturnian, setting in form what is right or wrong according to the values accepted. Legality, justice. These are the Saturnian aspects of Libra. They're really worth looking at. We have looked at Libra as the sign of legislation, but of course it's not only that. That is perhaps the preeminent first ray aspect of it. The second aspect manifests as the relation between the pairs of opposites. It's magnetic, of which the scales are the symbols. They are tipping, they are fluctuating. And upon the physical plane it shows itself as sex. So Venus would be connected there. Venus, DK tries to help us not think of Venus as sex, but occasionally he does talk about the sex implications of that particular planet. And we do know that some Librans under Venus are highly attractive and magnetic to the opposite sex. So the second aspect manifests as relation between the pairs of opposites, of which the scales are the symbols. So when the scale stops swinging, the sort of fulcrum point creates a triangle. And it is a balanced triangle. The triangle is a very balanced figure. And I suppose when we follow the spiritual will of the ethnic plane, our lives at last come into lawful balance. Yes. Okay. Just a moment. And the third aspect demonstrates as concretized energy, and this we call money. Interesting it would be to relate Uranus to money. So often Venus is related to money because of its rulership in general over Taurus. which is an acquisitive sign, and over Libra, which is one of the financial signs in general. And sometimes Saturn, with its concern over material conditions and the maintaining of those and sustaining of those conditions through money, is considered related to money. But perhaps we'll have to give it to Uranus after all, seeing money as a flow of energy which leads to creativity, Uranus being the creative planet and the recreative planet, the planet of constant arrangement, rearrangement until the archetype is achieved. It is literally gold. Uranus ruling Leo, the sign of gold, ruled by the sun, sun veiling Uranus. It is literally gold, and this is the externalized symbol of that which is created by the bringing together of spirit and matter upon the physical plane. So, in other words, the soul is golden, and the golden flower of the egoic lotus is an example. The Son of God is golden. And we connect, in this way, gold with the second aspect of divinity and silver with the third. Not sure what to connect. Can you connect a metal with the first? You can certainly connect diamond. Is it platinum, or is that just a temporary fad? What is the metal which can be connected, especially with the first aspect of divinity, the precious metal, anyway? So here is the definition of gold, but rather than related to the third aspect of divinity, it's the symbol of what is created by bringing spirit and matter together, which is the sun, which is the second aspect of divinity, interestingly. The third aspect is, as you know, the creator aspect. What does DK prefer to call it? The ray of creative intelligence, not just the ray of active intelligence or abstract intelligence. He prefers, his name, he prefers, the ray of creative intelligence. The third aspect is, as you know, the creator aspect and the energy which produces the outer, tangible plane of manifestation, the form side of life. Well, here we have Uranus connected with archetypes. Archetypes are patterns. Forms are patterns, and we have reflected patterns in the Mosaic world reflecting the archetypes. And Uranus is providing the flow of energy to help repattern, reconfigure the ordinarily conditioned world into something more creative, i.e., more reflective of the true archetype. Excuse me, I think it will be proven in the future that the person who is creative is not just the one who can arrange things in bizarre forms, according to whim and according to personal desire, but who can somehow arrange things, whatever, forms, energies, into forms which are truly approximations of the archetype, which have to be intuitive. That will be seen as creativity, I think. Right now, when we look at something and say, oh, what a creative thing, it always kind of suggests, at least to me, some deeper pattern which the artist or creator has managed to bring through, a hint at something invisible, which is really of worth and which somehow the created product is suggesting or reflecting. If students will therefore make a careful study of these three, in the new schools, I might say, when time and money will allow students to study as they should. Right now it's a battle for everybody. If they make a careful study of these three, law, sex, and money, as they express themselves today, oh, they're really together in the political world, aren't they? And as they can express themselves in the future, they will have a picture of physical human achievement, i.e. connected with the third ray, and of future spiritual expression, which will be constructive and worthwhile. So it will be laws which reflect divine laws, spiritual laws, and laws which help the emergence of human activity into patterns which reflect the divine plan. Sex to serve the race and not the individual lower ego and its gratification. Money to serve not desire but the divine intention to manifest the plan and serve the purpose. In our lives, we have to legislate our own lives in such a way, use sex in such a way, use our money in such a way that the plan is served. Well, hindsight is better than foresight, I suppose. We can probably all look back on our lives and say we could have done better. But having the understanding of the laws by which we should live and the manner in which we should use these polar energies, and what we shall do with the creative flow of energy at our disposal, largely symbolic in nature. After all, what is money? It's kind of an agreement, isn't it? We all agree on a certain symbol and endow that symbol with value, and then speak of the quantity of that symbol we have as representing power. Power to create changes and movements, power to recreate. You often said, well, I don't have any money, I can't do anything. Of course, that's not true, but with adequate money, one can do much because people will abide by the agreement. They will agree that this symbol that we call money has value, and they will expend their energy, which is the doing energy, to acquire that which has an agreed upon value. If we ever suddenly come to a consensus that the original symbol has no value, no doing will result, no activity will result. When you're carrying wheelbarrows full of money to buy a loaf of bread, the contract has been broken and everybody has decided this symbol has no value, and therefore it cannot produce the activity which leads to change, and it cannot acquire that which activity has produced. So the whole process is accounted for by the activity of the three rulers of Libra, Venus, Uranus, and Saturn. I don't think they're in the order representing the aspects. So let us use our imagination to see what a better world might be if law, sex, and money, if Saturn, Venus, and Uranus were better used in the future than they are at present. Eventually, we're told that, I think Master Morya says that men will compete to see who can do the best good. Imagine competing with each other to offer the world that which is positive, instead of glorifying the unreal lower ego, the lower personal self. Decentralization is needed to take the eyes off that personal self and fasten those eyes upon a more real self, which has for its objective the welfare of the whole. Takes a while, but now we're in crisis times. I guess we're going to talk about crisis soon. We're in crisis times, which allow more rapid progress. Venus rules in Taurus, Libra, and Capricorn, so you know how the Tibetan does it. He puts together signs on the basis of their rulership. We could go through all of them, and one would see how it works. I mean, let's take Uranus, then it's going to be Aries, Leo, through a veiled planet, Libra, and Aquarius. If you want Neptune, it's going to be, well, largely Cancer in relation to the special way of thinking about Pisces. But also Virgo will be involved, and Leo will be involved too, because veilings are occurring, and so forth. You can do this, and you can see, in your own opinion, what the relationship might be. So Venus rules in Taurus, Libra, and Capricorn, and is the source of the intelligent mind, that's Venus here, I think, acting earlier either through desire in the early stages, in other words, I use my mind to get what I want, or love in the later stages. I use my intelligence to express love. So in Taurus, this means the mind expressing itself through intelligent desire. Venus is the intelligence, Taurus the desire in this case. So one has a sense of values here. According to a sense of values which may accord with light and wisdom if the degree of evolution is sufficient. Intelligent desire. Of course, it can simply be getting what one wants intelligently. That is one phase. Now, we can't say that Taurus is simply limited to that particular level, the lowest of the levels. It is the Buddha also, isn't it? It's Socrates also, isn't it? It's Krishnamurti, too. So the mind is expressing through intelligent desire, desire which is directed towards that which has value, or simply, according, trying to get these to line up, or desire which is directed towards that which has value, and is acquired, acquired, I don't know, I'm going to spell, intelligently. For that is the goal of knowledge for ordinary man. We are talking about Taurus in relation to ordinary man, to fulfill our desires in an increasingly intelligent manner so the desires may indeed be fulfilled. If you simply have desire and you try to fulfill your desires, you may run into many walls, but with true intelligence, desire can be fulfilled. In Libra, the point of balance or equilibrium, you see, he's talking generically here. He's not talking about just the individual human being who may be born in any of these signs and be at any particular stage of evolution. He's just looking at the general role played by these signs in relation to the factor of desire and the factor of mind. We're talking about how mind and desire are here united. In Libra, the point of balance or equilibrium is attained between material personal desire, which of course flourishes in many Taurians, doesn't it? Oh, I just have to have that, the acquisitive thing, especially objects of beauty or individuals of beauty, I must acquire. So a point of balance or equilibrium is attained between material personal desire and intelligent spiritual love. Now, this is not intelligent desire. Intelligent spiritual love, something other than intelligent desire, because that would have been sufficient in Taurus. It's personal. Intelligent desire is not intelligent aspiration necessarily. It's intelligent personal desire, and here it's being equated with Taurus, and a kind of evolution is shown on the way to Libra. Intelligent spiritual love. Of course, neither one prevails in the Libran experience. Material personal desire still exists, and also intelligent spiritual love, a kind of a Venusian love, as intelligence and love are united by Venus. Intelligent spiritual love, a true appreciation of the other and a realization of the wisdom of treating the other in love. It's an evaluation of who the other really is, not just desiring the other as one might in Taurus, like an acquisition, the so-called, trophy wife or trophy husband. That's all for lower egoic purposes. But really respecting the other as someone worthy of love, and having the intelligence to see why this should be so. Not just feeling it, but actually understanding why it is so. Seeing the other more as a soul. For the two qualities of cosmic desire are brought to the fore in consciousness in Libra and balanced one against the other. So that which has to do with desire in the lower worlds and that which has to do with love in the higher worlds face each other. What an experience it must be. These contrast with each other and are to be considered. Consideration is one of those words much associated with Libra. It's also connected with the third ray, with astrology, consideration, to consult the stars, sidereal. Libra has to look at all of the various connections and currents, to weigh them against one another, and according to the maturity of the consciousness, to decide, it's a Saturnian thing, to decide upon which will be most highly valued, and that will determine the direction to be taken. So it's about Venus we are speaking, isn't it? Venus. This is an explanation of Venus as expressed in various ways. Desire made rendered more intelligent and perhaps refined, even though still staying personal. And I'll put that down. Perhaps refined, though still personal and material. And then intelligent spiritual love coming in, at least visioned through the intuition to which Libra gives access after the dire experiences in Scorpio, we've been told, when the soul has made its impression for the sake of survival. And then finally moving to Capricorn, in which Venus has a much higher expression, although maybe in Pisces the highest. Exaltations, I begin to think, are still greater and more potent than hierarchical rulerships, perhaps. The two qualities of cosmic desire are high and low. Okay, it's the cosmic physical plane and the dense aspects of it are still aspects of great beings. So there is still an element of desire which tends towards the dense, cosmic dense physical plane. The solar logos is not entirely redeemed. Maybe the Syrian logos doesn't have this type of desire. Okay, in Capricorn it stands for spiritual love, and we're not even talking about intelligent spiritual love here, maybe a higher aspect of Venus, more in accord with this monadic ray rather than the soul ray stepping in here, expressing itself perfectly, as there is this passion for crystallized perfection in Capricorn, the perfect diamond, the perfect gem, perfect jewel, geometrized, cut perfectly, stands for spiritual love. Perfectly. Expressing itself perfectly when the work of Taurus and Libra had been accomplished. So let's just look at this, We have something quite important being said here. Let's look at this, make it clear. Venus in three forms of expression. Venus in Taurus, intelligent, personal desire. Venus in Libra, intelligent personal desire, contrasted with intelligent spiritual love. Notice how often he uses this word intelligence in relation to Venus. Venus has not really gotten fair representation in the minds of astrologers because its fifth ray nature is not understood. In other words, the close connection between love and mind is not understood. And the names of the great fifth ray Lord, which are so filled with love, are not understood. And then Venus in Capricorn, whoops, it's spelled, Capricorn, we have a spiritual love. With an intelligence is not mentioned. As I said, we may be, by the time we get to Capricorn, there may be that aspect of Venus at work, which is already invoking its monadic ray, which is the 6th and the 2nd. I always speak in terms of dual monadic rays. It seems to me accurate, given the 2nd and the 1st plane. It's a theory at the moment, and maybe, the Tibetan will come out and will say such things as to prove that this theory is just not so. But one can only do one's best in speculating about what seems to be the truth, according to reason and according to impression, perhaps intuitive impression or semi-intuitive impression, and then see and look for substantiation later. So let's see if I've gotten all of the ones that I wanted to here. Intelligent spiritual love, material, personal desire. Intelligent desire. And here, the balance in Libra is material, personal desire, contrasted with intelligent spiritual love. What a frictional life it must be to live in this sign of harmony, Libra. And perhaps the frictions are so evident, so often, that the Libran person is ever striving to somehow smooth them over and arrive at some sort of accommodation between these frictional factors. So Venus is so important to us as the alter ego of our Earth, and as the planet which our soul nature represents. We want to see how this works in the general trend of human development. Now, probably some of us have these positions, Venus and Taurus, Venus and Libra, Venus and Capricorn, etc. Are they working out in this way? Or does our stage of evolution contradict this somehow? Thus can the golden thread of evolutionary progress be traced throughout the zodiacal path from sign to sign. The golden thread. Again, gold as the central metal, it seems, when considering three metals. And gold symbolizing the rising consciousness and the transmutation of lesser things into its nature. It's the growth of consciousness, the growth of the sun aspect, the radiance aspect. And from sign to sign, developments occur. The brilliant, ingenious, profound nature of the intelligence that designed all this. It's probably, we have to call it the intelligence of the one about whom naught may be said, in whom the zodiacal lords play a prominent part. It's got to be that supercosmic logos, who I guess is the merest mite when contrasted with other greater beings, but, one step has to be enough for us. Lead kindly light, one step enough for me. We can't go beyond a certain ring past knot with meaningful speculation, at least if we hope to have any kind of qualitative details involved in our speculation. Thus can the golden thread of evolutionary progress be traced throughout the zodiacal path from sign to sign, and thus the history of humanity can be seen, and its goal visioned. The history of humanity be seen, and its goal visioned. Tracing the history of humanity intelligently through these various zodiacal sources, seeing how quality is added to quality, and a balancing takes place, and a rounding out takes place, balancing in Libra, rounding out in Jupiter, until we stand as a fully unfolded egoic lotus right before the fourth degree, ready to sacrifice the accumulations towards higher objectives as understood within the mind, heart, and will of God. At some later date, the same golden thread can be traced in connection with the other kingdoms of nature. How the signs of the zodiac, I suppose, and planetary rulers actually impacted the development of the other kingdoms of nature, but I guess we don't have the consciousness to do that yet. But the time is not yet, and such a theme would prove profitless and unimportant. Maybe interesting, but we have so many issues as human beings to solve right now that there are some things that are nice to know, but not particularly applicable at the moment. I think my teacher, to whom I owe so much, at least in terms of witnessing what identification was and having it as the underlying theme of my life, always said, well, it's nice to know. I guess he was even referring to astrology. He was not so interested in astrology. That it's nice to know, but how important really is it? Don't miss the main event and get caught up in the sideshow. Those words impress themselves on me. When, however, the consciousness of man is opened up in such a manner that it can register that which is proceeding and taking place in the three lower kingdoms in nature, we're mostly unconsciously related to these kingdoms at this time. Maybe some investigation is taking place in the scientific ashrams now. Then further light and information will be given. See, it's interesting how light and information is given when it's needed, and not just given because it's nice to know. So we will realize that if DK gives something in the next forthcoming installment, it will be because it's needed for the next unfoldment. And all that we've been given now, even though it may seem remote, it's needed by someone, somewhere, who has received it. Of course, the teaching as given through Blavatsky and through Bailey meets many needs, not just the needs of one level of student. So this will take place in a period of human history when Libra is dominant. Will it be a precessional age, or will it be perhaps a Platonic year ruled by Libra, if there is such a thing? This will take place in a period of human history when Libra is dominant, and the three aspects of the third person of the Trinity, the Holy Spirit, the Creator. Third person is the Holy Spirit, the Creator. The three aspects, law, sex, and money, will give the clue to the three lower kingdoms. Let's see how he apportions this. Law, natural law, the externalization of the subjective spiritual law, will give the clue to the animal kingdom. I guess that will be Saturn. And that animal kingdom has to come under Saturn as presented to it by humanity, also under Mercury. So law will give the law as well. I guess there is natural law governing the behavior, but sometimes there is the tendency of Mars to overpower and animals go beyond what they should. Perhaps that's humanity's fault, all in all, humanity being the microcosm of some aspects of the animal kingdom. So law or natural law will give the clue to the animal kingdom. Sex, or the consciousness of affinity, and Venus is the great planet of affinity. I like this, I don't like that. I'm attracted, I'm not attracted. Will reveal the mystery of the vegetable kingdom, even the blending of color, the blending of fragrances perhaps. And money will unveil the secret of the mineral kingdom. And all this will come about through the activity of Venus. It seems to be preeminent here. Through the activity of Venus. What? In relation to Taurus, Libra, and Capricorn? But through the activity of Venus, which is the soul, which is revelatory of what is microcosmic in relation to man, the macrocosm, the more man absorbs what Venus is, the more it will be able to deal with the microcosm it has subsumed, namely the three lower kingdoms. I guess even now we kind of use money in a well, I guess it's undergone some evolution, hasn't it? We have used mineral money, and it still stands for the greatest value, seems most real. We have used paper money, and that is related to the vegetable kingdom. It seems rather unreal, and is dependent upon, it has no, interior, true inherent value. We're now using electronic money, which is nothing tangible at all. It's simply registrations on the various machines we have created, the on and the off. But eventually we're told that the mineral kingdom will give the secret, or that money, or true understanding of it, will unveil the secret of the mineral kingdom. Perhaps this mineral kingdom will produce certain flows of energy, which will be animating, energizing, or retarding in their nature, just the way money is. Perhaps the mineral kingdom will give forth the energy we need, as crystals are said to do, to create, to empower, to move. That's possible. Sex, or the consciousness of affinity, one unites with that with which one has affinity, one withdraws from that with which one has no affinity. The mystery of the vegetable kingdom. And law, the clue to the animal kingdom, and how this natural law becomes spiritual law. Through the regulation of the animal kingdom, it will be brought into the condition of being human. Saturn plays a very big role. I remember one of my friends had a dog. Dog was a German Shepherd, loved to chase rabbits. But my friend, a very strong first-ray soul, was Saturn to this dog. And when the rabbit appeared, the dog would always look to her first, and then settle down and not move. And if the dog moved, the voice of Saturn would speak, and the dog halted in its tracks. It's Saturn. The idea of fragrance, of color, involved with the vegetable kingdom. We will sort these things out so we can create harmony of color, harmony of fragrance. And according to the law of attraction, which one aspect of Venus rules particularly, or is connected with particularly, so will be the patterns made. Even now when we design gardens, we try to put together those plants which have affinity with each other, mostly by color and form, I would think, and perhaps eventually by fragrance, which is still more subtle. So all of this will be brought about through the activity of Venus, which is macrocosmic to Earth. It's the way the soul, man, is macrocosmic to the lower kingdoms. And this will be brought about when the three signs of Taurus, Libra, and Capricorn are better understood. Well, I wonder how he's going to relate these. Taurus to the mineral kingdom, perhaps through Vulcan. Libra to the vegetable kingdom, I think. Capricorn somehow to the animal kingdom, where the animal nature meets the animal nature of the animal is found also in the human being. This might relate to that hierarchy, or that aspect of the hierarchy which is concerned with the human personality, is ruled by Capricorn. This I shall further elucidate when we come to the study of the science of triangles at a later date, right around page 404, or right after that. Seems far ahead. Suffice it to say that each of these three signs is related to one of the three aspects of divine life. Okay, let's see how he does it. Well, he does it differently than I thought. Libra, yes, to the vegetable kingdom, sex and natural affinity, but Taurus, even though Vulcan is there, to the animal kingdom because of the instinctual nature. And maybe Vulcan does have also to do with certain repetitive patterns which are instinctual in nature. Natural law. Taurus, the instinctual man, the lover of nature, the one who wants to follow the laws of his being. Capricorn, the mineral kingdom, money, concrete expression of the law of supply. So in this case, even though the ruler of Capricorn, which is Saturn, is connected, what does he say, with the animal kingdom, we still have it connected with the mineral kingdom. Ruler of Libra, Venus, definitely the vegetable kingdom, and of course we're really looking at Venus in all these three signs. And Taurus, Vulcan, but Venus as well. This is material desire, instinctual desire. The animal nature of man is very Taurian in a certain sense. We have to ride the bull. Our animal nature has to be subdued, and it is subdued in Taurus, where the sex instinct is transmuted. Hercules succeeds in Taurus. In some other signs he doesn't. Okay. So much to expand upon, really. So much to expand upon. And it's hopeless to think that the full expansion can be offered, but then some ideas. I mean, DK hasn't given us the full expansion either. He's given us what we can use. Okay. So, interesting, Capricorn becomes the initiate, the diamond soul. Interesting that the man becomes the mineral, in a way, at initiation, and probably especially before the fourth initiation, when the diamond, the jewel in the lotus, the central fire, is revealed. That's the true diamond soul, and that's Vulcan again in the third decanate. So man becomes the mineral. And I suppose Capricorn will be related to money, even though in another sense Saturn is related to law. Intricate are the interrelations. Here we are on page 246. We're getting there at the end of number 4. And all these form a triangle with Libra at the apex and dominating, at least in this context. Well, Libra is the equilibrium, perhaps. Two forms of light, well, instinct and realization, with Libra the pivot point. Maybe it's the apex of the triangle at this time, shall we say? That's the question. At this time or forever? Usually these things are called triangles in rotation, usually. And so for every planetary triangle, and maybe for zodiacal triangles, there are revolutions where different members of the triangle occupy the apex. Uranus is the esoteric ruler and is of supreme importance in this sign, for the seventh ray works through this planet and is the embodiment of the principle of concretion and the materializing of that which is in need of objective manifestation. Sounds like money, really. Through the bringing together of spirit and matter. Well, money is concretized energy, we are told. And Uranus is related to the most concrete of the creative hierarchies, though we can continue to extend the zodiacal assignments to higher and higher cosmic subplanes. So money as concretized energy. Money is concretized energy. Uranus is the esoteric ruler and of supreme importance in this sign, in the seventh ray age, I suppose. We certainly have to solve these issues about how to distribute money, how to break our bread together. Money is bread. Money is the sustenance of our physical form and of the physical forms that we seek to perpetuate. And it works through this planet, is the embodiment of the principle of concretion and of materializing that which is needed. The fifth ray does this too. Fifth ray is associated with concretion and the development of a plethora of concrete objects, too many. Both of these rays related to each other have much to do with consolidation and concretion. Sometimes it's hard to sit on the chair for too long. Okay. And thus the bringing together of spirit and matter. There will be an objective manifestation through form, through the bringing together of spirit and matter, remembering that form is of the second aspect, while matter is of the third and spirit of the first. Form itself, which is to be objectively manifested, is interestingly of the second aspect. We have this interplay between second and third aspect, even with the son and the mother. The mother is the second, who is the third. The son is the third, who is the second. The two interplay. So we really have to solve our etheric problems. During this stage of human evolution, we have to break bread together in the Aquarian age in the upper room. Seventh ray is so important in this. The means of our sustenance must be shared so that there is not disease in the body, dearth and plethoras, congestion and dearth. Okay, it is here that the whole mystery of money lies hid, and the creation and the production of money. It is rather an abstract thing. It used to be quite concrete. Capitalism, I suppose, begins with certain head of cattle. But money becomes increasingly abstract under the influence of the third ray. I would like here to point out to you that it is with the third aspect of divinity and the third aspect alone that the creative process is concerned. The process of rearrangement, the process of movement. New combinations, Master Morya calls them. The creative aspect is involved with combining things in new ways. Movement is required. The third ray is the ray of activity. Moving things around. Mind moves things around into new combinations. It is through the relation of the three aspects of the third divine aspect, of the third divine manifestation law, affinity. Now notice, interesting here, he doesn't call it sex anymore. He's giving us other names. Affinity. Law, affinity, and concretized energy, money. So he's giving the more abstract word. Rather than the recognizable law, sex, and money, it's law, that stays the same. Affinity, a higher order word, I think, and concretized energy, a higher order word than money. That money is created. Well, the three are brought together in order to create what money is. Money rarely occurs. The accumulation of money or the flow of money rarely occurs unless there is affinity. I mean, we support with our energy that which we love, that to which we are attracted in so many different ways. And there is a form of energy which is probably etheric in nature, which we send towards that which we love. And this in accordance with the boundary that the law provides. It's all managed by that which is to happen. These are interesting thoughts, or interesting subjects. Whether the thoughts are interesting or not is another matter. But let's just say here that we're reaching the end of Esoteric Astrology Adventure 81, D, and we are on some page or other. Whoop. Don't want that. So let's hit the number locks again and hope that this takes us to the page in which we find ourselves, page 246. Seems to be connecting Uranus with money. He connects Capricorn with money. He connects Venus with sex, and Libra too. He connects Taurus with the animal instinct, but Saturn as well. So there's some different perspectives offered here. And we will try to examine them and come to a deeper understanding of them. You know, things are not necessarily straightforward all the time, and there are intricate relations to be dealt with. We try to keep a certain amount of clarity amidst these intricate relations. Let's use the Great Invocation again at this point. Whoops. From point of light within. Yes, we'll use the Great Invocation, ending this fourth in the series of programs under the number 81. From the point of light within the mind of God, let light stream forth into the minds of men. Let light descend on earth. From the point of love within the heart of God, let love stream forth into the hearts of men. May Christ return to earth. From the center, where the will of God is known, let purpose guide the little wills of men, the purpose which the masters know and serve. From the center, which we call the race of men, let the plan of love and light work out, and may it seal the door where evil dwells. Let light and love and power restore the plan on earth. Oh.